Hey everybody, it's your boy Joseph Saki back with another video. You know it. Okay, guys, today I'm going to do a review on a book I just finished reading about not even 10 minutes ago. And I have to say, it's probably one of the best gothic novels I've ever read. I've read a lot of them. I've read, Hunchback of Notre Dame. I've read Dracula. I've read, let me think, Frankenstein. I've read all of those. What the Wolf Man. But this one right here, the Picture of Dorian Gray, is probably one of my favorites so far I've ever read. So basically what it's about is, it was written by Oscar Wilde in 1890, and the book is about a guy named Dorian Gray who, in the beginning of the book, he's sitting down from a portrait to get a portrait painted for him of himself by a guy named Basil, who's like a well-known painter. And while he's getting the paint, being painted, he wished that the painting could basically, for all the years he would grow old, the painting would grow old for him, and he would stay forever young. So when he goes, then he goes to, he's a very wealthy man. He's a very wealthy Dorian. So he goes to all these, he goes to a playhouse and he falls in love with this girl named Sybil, who's a Shakespearean actor, and she's also very beautiful and very talented. And she's so in love with him, and Sybil calls him Prince Charming, and they're planning to get married and all that. And so Sybil Sybil has a brother named James Varn, and James Varn told Sybil that he doesn't like Dorian, and that if Dorian ever hurts her or breaks her heart or any way, he's going to kill him. Well, one day during one night, Dorian invites all of his friends and other wealthy people, that the guy who painted his portrait, Basil and everything, which is the guy who painted his portrait. His name is Basil, and the Lord Henry something, one of his friends, to go to they go to the play. They go to the play that she's performing Romeo and Juliet. While he's at the play, Sybil tanks it. She fucks it up royally. She's so in love with Dorian that she fucks it up. She lost all her ability to act, and that's how in love she was with him. Anyways, Dorian is really mad, and they all thought that he loved Dorian. She loved Dorian, or she loved her. Dorian loved her for her beauty, and not for her acting. But actually, it's the other way around. He basically walks up to Sybil after the show and says, "I loved you for your acting, which made you beautiful. And now that I see that you are a horrible actor, I don't love you anymore," and he walks away. And that's it. That's the last thing, basically. When he gets back to his big mansion house, because he's a rich person, he's very rich. By the way, it takes place in two countries, England and Paris, France. He goes to England, or goes back to his house, and he finds out that he goes into the room where his portrait's hanging, and now there's an evil smirk on his portrait's face where it wasn't before, and there's a blemish on the portrait. So what he realizes is that every time he does something bad, his portrait will change and make it more hideous, but he will stay the same age for eternity, okay? He's immortal now because of the portrait. His wishes come true. Going back to the old saying, be careful what you wish for, you just might get it. Anyways, later that night, Sybil commits suicide by, I think, stabbing herself is what they said she did. I think, if I'm not mistaken, yes. She stabbed herself. So, she does that, and James is pissed, and Dorian doesn't give two shits, and he gets a book to read. He was given a book a French book to read, and he's going to try to explore his sensuality and sexuality and debauchery and all that type of stuff. And he decides to go to Paris and live his life there for a little bit. Sorry guys, I'm just muting my TV so just in case it goes back on. Anyways, so he decides to go to Paris, and while he's in Paris, he's doing all these cool things. It's by around this time 10 years have passed, another 8 years has passed while he's in Paris. He's been in Paris for 18 years, and he's just like having sex with men, women, at the time I believe children. They didn't really say it, but it's a very, again, this is the 1890s, so the book is written when having sex with children wasn't a crime. Sorry, today I think it's horrible. It's completely horrible to do, but he was doing it in the book, okay? I believe, no, he wasn't really having sex with children. They were like 15-year-old girls, but then again, that's 18, that's like okay, I guess, to do it in that time, I guess. I don't know. Don't ask me, okay? I really don't know. So in the book, so he's doing work there, okay? He's doing work, and like, you know, he's becoming like he's always wealthy. He's throwing these lavish parties. He's basically giving it to his dick to anyone who wants it. He's getting high off opium in an opium den, which is like their version of getting high was opium, basically. That was their version of getting high back then. Also, you could also get weed, but, you know, most people just did opium. You know. Anyways. So and then all this thing. So all the while his portrait is getting uglier and uglier and older by everything he does. He's basically, his portrait is his soul, and he's tarnishing his soul by doing this stuff. So one night, Basil comes to Dorian while he's in France to visit. Okay, and after the party's all over and everyone's gone, Basil stays around, and the one who painted the picture, and talks with him and says, "Well, Dorian, you haven't aged in 18 years. How is this possible?" So since Basil is the one who created a painting that made it, you know, possible for him, Dorian figures, well, since you're the creator of the painting that's giving this, basically in his head, he's saying this, I'm going to show, he motions him to follow him to a secret room that's locked off from the rest of the house that he's living in Paris, which is a big house. And he shows him the painting. And the painting is disturbed and everything, and it's ugly and old. And Basil said he knows it's his painting because it has a signature where he puts a signature on all her works. He's disgusted, angered, and tells them that that's abomination. And Dorian gets really mad and takes a knife and kills Basil. And then to add insult to injury, he calls a doctor friend, blackmails him into telling him how to get rid of a body. Sorry, backtrack real quick. The girl, Sybil, did not kill herself. She died by prussic acid, which I believe is a type of acidic acid, okay? Backtracking, sorry about that. Anyways, back to the thing. So she's, so Basil is dead, and he blackmails his doctor friend Alan something into telling him how to get rid of the body. So he does. And then later on, Alan commits suicide because of being blackmailed and helping to cover up a murder. All the while, back in England, James Varn hasn't forgotten what Prince Charming, which is which his sister called Dorian, and wants to go find and kill him. So he goes to Paris, and he's going through all these places, and he goes to an opium den, and he hears the name Prince Charming, and he figures it's Dorian, and he grabs a man and yells, and, you know, is like yelling at him and says, "I got you, Dorian Gray." And then Dorian, using quick wit, says, "I can't be Dorian Gray. I'm too young. And he, again, Dorian looks is no younger than he did in the beginning of the book, because he's immortal because of the portrait. So he says, I want to be around that time. I'm 18 because of 18 years. So he's basically claiming to be born 18 years the year that her name died, basically, is what he's claiming to be. And he finally convinces him, James, and then James lets him go, and then he runs away. And a woman comes up to him in the den and chastises him for letting Dorian Gray go, and says that was Dorian Gray. He just looks old. He never looked a day in his age. And then she tries to run after him, but outside the opium den, but he's already gone. And all the while, Dorian's on the edge. He's afraid that he'll be caught by James, and he's on the run. And James tries to find him and kill him, but he ends up getting killed in a hunting accident. And then Dorian goes back to London and tries to live the rest of his life. All the while, the picture is getting more ugly and more ugly, and he's starting to feel very bad about what he's done. So he decides to live a better life, be a good person. But when he goes, after a few months of being good, he goes to view the painting again, and nothing has changed. And in fact, it's got even uglier. And the reason why is because he believes that the only way he can get the picture to go back to normal is if he gives a full confession and confesses all the bad shit he's done in the entire time that he's been away. And then finally he gets really mad and decides to destroy the painting once and for all. And he takes the same knife he killed Basil with and slashes the painting. And then his maids and all the people outside hear a huge scream, and the door is locked, and the people outside call the police, and the police come to the residence, and they break down the door, and what they discover is an old man, very old man, decrepit and hurt, with a knife stabbed through his chest, okay? Blood all over the place, and they recognize the old man as Dorian Gray because of the rings on his fingers, and they see the portrait of a young Dorian Gray on the ground next to him. And that's the end of the book. Dorian Gray has killed himself and has paid the ultimate price for immortality, and the story is basically a philosophical story, but also it begs the question, be careful what you wish for, because sometimes you might get what you wish for, and then you realize maybe it's this thing I wish for is more hell than I was really wanted it to be. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. I will talk to you guys in the next video, which I'll be doing a 4 video day extravaganza today. I'm probably going to be continuing watching Paranormal Activity Ghost Dimension, and then I'm going to be watching some Netflix real quick, and then I will see you later.